should people that are not like future thinking have the right to vote?
Okay,
Because you're thinking in the now, but you're not thinking of like maybe the generation past you.
people love capitalism, but it's just like I get capitalism. I'm not for socialism. I'm not for communism, but and I understand. I mean, I love making money myself, but at some point, some of these tax loopholes have to close. At some point, like the whole, there's a reason why people don't manufacture in the United States anymore. It's cheaper for them to manufacture outside of the country. I get that. You could blame unions all you want, but unions protect the workers, right? Union people make good working wages, and if prices go up, you ever notice when prices go up, they never come down. Prices
100%.
prices
Yes.
go up with inflation. Inflation drops, but the prices stay the same. You know? um,
Which is
taxes
wild to me.
never taxes. When taxes get cut, who do they get cut for? The rich. They never get cut for us. I mean, it's like let's just and it's like I want to see where my taxes are going. I mean,
100%. I would agree with that.
I mean, like I don't know. It's insanity. It's like, you know,
So you think, because I was going off of, so a lot of these programs, right? Don't you think that a lot of the fact that we are constantly bombarded also with the information that they're offering all these services, it's also making a lot of us kind of salty towards the people that are also benefiting from those
I agree.
systems, right?
I agree.
Because it's now like you against me, and now I'm like, well, I'm
Right.
paying for your benefits
Sure,
because I'm not even benefiting out of any of this.
sure.
I still have to, I pay taxes, but then on top of the taxes, I got to pay property tax. And then when I go out shopping, I got to pay more taxes.
Well, everything we do.
Everything
so
is
you tax my
taxed.
paycheck, right? And then everything I buy is taxed. And then if I sell something, it's taxed. Everything it's getting taxed in,
Right.
getting going out.
So when I think of that, right, like what is the actual bottom net that I keep?
Right.
It's probably like 10% maybe.
Tell you what's in
Maybe.
your savings, and that's what it is, right? What's your savings account look like, and what are you making a year? And that's exactly, I mean,
Yeah.
you spend a lot. I get it. Our cost of living, like I choose to let my kids do sports, right? I choose to let my kids do a lot of things, and whatever, to me, making memories. But it's like I agree. Like, do I get angry that people are living off the government? Not as much as you would think, because in my mind, to me, it's like, hey, if I have the money, I mean, yeah, at some point, if I'm gonna lose my house because of taxes and because it's the cost of living, then I'll be pissed. But at the end of the day, I live a pretty good life. There's things I could cut back on if I need to, right? But being a Christian, being a religious person, understanding, all these Bible thumpers that are also, get rid of immigrants. It's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, you should be helping your neighbor. Like, that's the good part about life. Like, you know, it's that weird conundrum. Like, how do you balance that? I want to be a good person, yet also not want to give everything I have away.
Right.
Like, would I have immigrants living in my house? Probably not. Do I believe that some immigrants should be able to get amnesty? I do. All of them? Probably not.
That's
It's like
yeah,
it's like
100%.
where's that line? I don't know
Yeah.
where it is. That's why I'm not in politics.
That's
Right.
where that fine line is, because who says yes, who says no. I was listening to something where, you have all these people in New York, right, that just like came from South America, right, not to mention a country,
Yeah.
but came from South America, and they're getting government assistance in every way, but yet still they have the guts to complain of all the, how come they can't stay at a nicer hotel,
Right.
right? How come they're not getting a certain job? And it's like, dude, like, you just got here,
Right.
right? So you're trying to like move up the ladder above like everyone that has been here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. And then the question is, right? Like, I heard something along the lines of what you said, right? The fact that a lot of immigrants will take jobs that most Americans are not jumping on, and
Yeah.
I do think that's part of the reason why there's all the immigrant thing going on right now of like letting another generation come in to take those jobs,
Yeah.
right? Because if you look at the 20-year-olds, they're not going for those jobs, right? They say there's like a lack of the trade businesses,
Right.
and when I think about it, it makes sense why they're
Well, there's a
allowing
lack of
lot
the trade because I mean, we make good money in the trade, but they don't make. I mean, if you look at the cost of living, people aren't making. I mean, I make good money because I'm in the position I'm in, right?
Yeah.
But people aren't making. They're not making that big cash. People always want more, and they are. The more you make, the more you spend, right? And they have these huge visions of what they want, and so they all think they go into finance, they go into this, they go into that. They sell their soul for the almighty buck,
Yeah.
right? And you know, I don't know. I mean, I work hard for my money, right? Like I say, I'm in the spot I'm in. People can't believe I still do side jobs for electrical. Like I still put lights in houses. I still do additions for people. But in order to send a kid to college, in order to have two boys that play hockey, in order to just, in order to live a life, in order to be able to go away with my family on a vacation, that's the shit I got to do. I got to work a little extra harder,
Yeah.
to make ends meet, and luckily I have that ability to do that.
Yeah, it's a hard one, man, because this is one of those topics that is so polarizing that oh man, yeah,
Huh?
yeah, I don't understand politics because to me like it should be way simpler. But this
Absolutely.
is this is one of those subjects that like we all sort of have an opinion, but we don't know shit about it.
Right.
So
I don't know how to fix it.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, this is a hard one, man. But kind of looping back to this. So what is your thought of like the direction a lot of this like liberal agendas going? Do you just kind of stay away from it and mind your own business kind of thing, or do you ever get concerned that like some of these views, you got kids in school, any of these views that they're pushing in schools like concern you or?
I get just as concerned on the conservative agenda as I do on the liberal agenda. I get concerned both ways. I honestly get a lot less concerned because I don't. Let's put it this way, like what transgender flags in schools, stuff like that. I mean, when I see a lot less transgender flags in schools killing kids than guns in schools killing kids, right? I don't. People like to deflect what's really going on out there, and I mean, I talk to my kids. I have pretty open dialogues with my kids about things. I don't think it's being pushed as much as people say it's being pushed. The quote unquote liberal agenda in schools. I don't know. Maybe you're hearing differently from your kids, but I don't know. I don't.
You're not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it. Not where I live. I mean, what I do see is there are times that we hear about in Holliston that you know anti-Semitic or racial things are being written on walls. We hear a lot more about that than any liberal agenda, But the complaints I hear about us liberal snowflakes are days like today when, oh, way to cancel school early when I was growing up. It's like, bro, just let it go. Let it go. That being said, if I was a conservative, I get their heartache about it. Like just as much as I don't want some things pushed on my kids from the conservative side, I wouldn't want things pushed on my kid. It's just like I want if the information's out there, let kids decipher what it is. But you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's being pushed in schools as much. I do have issues with people taking books out of schools. I mean, banning books. I mean, what is it? What is this? 1960, 1920?
What kind of books have you heard have been like taken out?
My in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister and my sister live in Florida. I mean, like DeSantis and anything to do with race, religion, critical race theory. I mean, come on, that shit happened. Slavery happened. It doesn't matter if you what you say. It happened, right?
So what? He's actually taking books. Is that it?
Yeah,
Like,
they're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to rewrite history down there. From what I'm told.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's the other side. That a lot of it is like media propaganda.
I agree.
Do we know exactly?
It depends who you're listening to.
Yeah.
Depends who you're listening to.
Do we know exactly what's going on, and is that like the actual truth? And that's kind of like where it gets iffy.
Yeah.
Because we tend to listen to the news as like this is the right form of information, but no one's really looking at both ends to see like what's true and what's not.
Right. That's why I try to take a subjective look when I'm listening to what's going on. Like again, like the whole thing with President Biden, right? I mean that whole DOJ report that came out about his lack of mental facilities that Democrats are up in arms about. It's like, bitch, I didn't need a fucking report to tell me that the guy's not all there. I could see it myself in his speeches. You know, it's like why argue with something that's evident?
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. It's just it's frightening. It's just frightening. I feel for our kids.
That's the hard part. That So I had a conversation with someone this week, and she said something that was a little bit worrying for me, right? You know, as I'm talking to her, she goes, she has obviously certain views, right?
Yeah.
She's from a specific community and all this stuff, right? And I asked her, I'm like, so what is your you know, as we're discussing just a conversation like this, she has views.
Yeah.
But then when I asked her, what do you think of this later on? What could be the outcome? She's like, I try not to think of that. I don't think too far ahead. And I'm like, well, how are we not thinking ahead? But you're also you have also the power to vote today,
Right.
which will affect the tomorrow, in 10, 12 years from now. So it kind of, you know, this is off topic, but it did spiral me like later on that thought of like, should people that are not like future thinking have the right to vote?
Okay,
Because you're thinking in the now, but you're not thinking of like maybe the generation past you, right? And if you don't want to have kids,
but people only vote for themselves now a lot of times, right? They only vote for. Like you see that a lot in a town like Holliston, right? They vote locally in their local elections for what they want now when it comes to taxes and shit for what they want. Like they don't give a shit about the later in life. They vote down, you know, certain things because they don't want their taxes going up. They vote down certain like school measures and this because they don't want their taxes. They don't care about the future of the town.
yeah,
You know, and it's like
and it's a little scary to be honest. Because I don't know if the fact that I do have kids makes me constantly think of their future and
Absolutely.
how my every decision impacts their future, right? Like the people I'm voting for, the things I'm also for today. I don't know what those things could unravel to in their future when they're my age, right? Because usually, you know, once we, you know, laws are typically written in a certain way that they're not taken away ever.
It's crazy.
So that's the thing. It's not something like my opinion, our opinion today is going to be like, okay, this is what we think is going to be best. But the other side of this, right? Because, you know, the scary part is that how can we say we all have an opinion when usually our opinions are based on information we see?
Right.
Think of this, right? If there was no history books, no nothing, right? If the propaganda from the media wasn't there,
Yeah.
how would you have an opinion on people coming from somewhere else, or what about Republicans? So all these
Right.
views are based to me on the constant bombarding of information of, you know, these people are bad, or this is good, or this is bad, or they're trying to do this to you. So when we start taking these positions, I don't think we necessarily have like our own belief structure.
So, I
You
mean,
see,
when
you know what I mean?
I do, but when it comes to how I treat others and how people are treating others, when it comes to civil liberties and when it comes to stuff for women's rights, I base it on how I feel. It has nothing to do with past history or anything. Like, I base it on, if you're telling me that you're going to take away a woman's right to choose, then I'm going to tell you then
To choose what?
for how abortion, how she treats
Okay.
her body, how that's not my
Your place.
that's not my
Yeah.
decision on. If you're gonna do that, then there's got to be a law in place that if she just that if you're forcing a woman to keep the baby, then the man who helped procreate must be forced to be the father of that baby.
Mm-hmm.
There's no I can give up the right or whatever, or
All right.
or take. I mean, I have a son. You're not telling my sons what to do with their body.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, right? Because so there's like a joke about this, but it goes: if women have the right to choose, would men have the right to opt out from parenthood? Because she can decide if she wants she wants to have the kid, but as a man, you don't have the choice to pick if you're the father or not.
She, I agree. They do have the choice. They have the choice.
No, but
They
you,
they could
you know,
they could opt out. They don't have to. Like I had a buddy Timmy who decided he got a girl pregnant and he signed away all his parental rights.
is he paying child support?
And he didn't pay. I don't think he ever paid a dime of child support.
No.
No. But that being said, if I do I agree I understand that side. That's the exact. It's saying that's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. If a woman's told she can't choose, then a man.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're talking about okay. So just think a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a woman gets pregnant once, right? She can have a baby in 9 months, right? So every 9 months, a woman could have a baby.
Yup.
A guy could have a baby every day. A guy could get somebody pregnant every day. So who's the one? Why are we focusing on the woman? It's the guy. They focus on the guy. Then they're the ones out there getting. I mean, as a dude, you know what it's like. We can go out there and do. We had a lot less stress if it came to that shit.
Right, right.
I mean, let's be honest. I had a lot less stress growing up, worried about if somebody was pregnant than the girl. There's a lot less stigma growing up of a girl who got pregnant than a guy who got a girl pregnant. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah, my stance on it is kind of like I'm in the middle, because I definitely agree. Like, no one's, like no one should be dictating someone's, direction, how they want to live their life or how they want to go about it. If they want to get pregnant or not be pregnant, that's certainly up to them. But I definitely think that there should be like, the case with your friend. That's the first time I heard it.
Yeah.
But where it happened like that, maybe she did not want any of them. But I do think that in like the way the laws are set up today, they're definitely, I never hear that story. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like I would just want to know that if you're having it, I'm given the choice to opt out. Because
Sure.
what if I don't want to have it with you?
I think
Because this was consensual
Yeah.
to begin with.
No, I actually have two buddies that were able to.
To do that?
Yeah. 'Cause-
Do you think it might have been the type of woman they had kids with?
No,
No?
no. They were both really young. They were like 15 when it happened.
And this is like a long time ago?
Yeah.
Dude, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, but all right. So, because you always hear the scary stuff, right?
Right.
It's like, damn, she fucking got child support. She took a lot of, she's getting you for everything she can.
I think, yeah. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I could be 100% off too. I could be wrong. Maybe the parents paid. I don't know. Maybe there was some sort of agreement. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Maybe there's some underlining
Right. Maybe
information there.
I might be. I mean, I can't speak facts, but I know that the dad of one of the girls was like, "You are not allowed to ever see my daughter again."
Gotcha.
You know,
All right.
you know.
So, all right. Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's such a touchy. I don't
Right.
know.
I mean, it's like depends which
What
way.
do you think is the religious take on it? Just so we could kind of dive into like a different angle.
What's the religious take on it?
Yeah, like that all lives count.
Oh,
Or what do you
well,
think
I mean,
some of
back
these?
just like everything back in the day in Christianity is the more the more the the more Christians there were, they just wanted more Christians. Just like everything they did was to create more Christians. Everything that's why there was so many. I mean, go look in the '60s. There's 14, 15 kids. Like in a family. It's like that's all they. It was nothing. It had nothing to do with. There's nothing to do with birth control and the right of life. It has all to do with creating more of your kind.
Uh huh.
You know, like I said before, you can believe in God, but religion in itself. I mean, look at the religious leaders of the world. It's all about money and power, just like politics. Politics and religion start wars.
Yeah, I don't have a. This is one that I'm just like.
It's just
I don't see how one group is like so invested. Cause all right, so this is like sorry, this is the other thing I've heard, right? It's like, well, a life is a life, and I kind of would have to agree with the conservative view. At the end of the day, you are terminating a life, regardless if you say it's a fetus or not. Like, if it's like a week, sure, but like what happens after a month, 2 months,
yeah,
is
yeah.
it's cultivating, right? So
Well,
like this at some point will be born.
maybe. I mean, yeah, I guess. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not a scientist. But here's my problem with the conservative view on that. As soon as it comes out of the womb, then they don't want nothing to do with it. It's just like immigrants when they say then take an immigrant into your home. If the girl doesn't want the baby and puts it up for adoption, take it into your home and raise it as your own. You know what I
And
mean?
you're referring it as to who's saying
Like the
this?
conservative, when the conservatives say if you want immigrants in the country, then take them into your home, into your own home.
Which
So now I'm saying if you
because
want
the argument there is well, if you're voting for anyone to come in, you should be the one also.
and if you're
you know,
voting for a woman to have the baby, then you should. If the
Oh,
woman doesn't
gotcha,
want the
gotcha.
baby, then you should raise the baby.
I see your point.
Then take the baby, raise the
Gotcha.
baby.
Gotcha.
Just take all these babies that aren't. And I'm not saying that it should be used as birth control, but I'm talking about like the raped women, the babies that aren't going to sustain life after being born and pass away immediately.
Uh huh.
It's
But they say those are like the rare numbers, right?
those
Like,
aren't the rapes aren't as rare as you think. I think it was like 65,000 last year. Girls gave birth, or
you
girls got
think that
pregnant.
many? Yeah?
Yeah.
You're gonna look it up?
I'll look it up.
Look it up, because that sounds like a really steep number. Search it just in Boston.
Oh, I'm Boston. Hold on. Look at how old I am. I have to look like this.
Yeah, because when we're looking at like the whole United States, man, we gotta like consider that this country is the size of like all Europe.
Jesus Christ. I'm looking at how many babies conceived, and it's like on Valentine's Day. Oh, okay. The guy who dressed up as whatever his name is, the Shalom, whatever the dude is, the guy dressed up as the buffalo head who had his face painted. Everybody says that, not everybody, but a lot of his Trump's supporters say that it was an inside job by liberals and Democrats to storm the Capitol. But then now they're voting for this guy as a Republican. This guy who got arrested, spent time in jail. Now they're voting for this guy who's running for either Congress or Senate. And
The guy with the hat?
yeah, in Arizona, like It's like, wait, how can you say in one breath that it's an inside job, but in the next breath, vote for a guy who get arrested during January 6th for, it's just like this. I don't know. But then I sit there and go, or what? If maybe they're seeing things and believing it. Maybe I'm seeing things and believing it. You know what I mean? Exactly what we were talking about. The propaganda machine. Depends on what you're looking at, and how do you get that subjective information? And you don't. Everything's skewed in a way. No, not at all.
But
But you know what I
all
mean?
right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
yeah,
It's like,
100%.
am I wrong? And it's like, maybe I'm the one that's fucked in the head. That I'm seeing things and I'm believing something that's not true, right? And it's like, how do you decipher that? Where's the real? And you know it as well as anybody. There's what one side saying. There's what's the other side saying, and then there's the hidden shit that we don't know about, and then there's the
All right. So, all right. So, when it comes down to like a lot of these like politics and shit like that, I really don't have an opinion because I personally don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't. I think everything is like a puppet show.
I agree.
Everything that we watch, right? It's as simple as I'll give you this example, right? When you think of best example I can give is like the rap business. You have back in the day, rap started with a specific. It was like talk about what were the issues in the projects, whatever. As time went by, businesses, people saw, and also the music corporates saw, well, if we promote clothes, we promote certain violence, we promote certain things. And guess what? 20 years later, where are we? Promote drugs, promote, alcoholism,
Yeah.
fucking prostitution, all of that.
Yeah.
So how far did the origin was and to where it is today? And anyone who listens to it, it's fucking funny, but it's part of the trends, right?
Right.
You can see who dresses a certain way, and you're like, all right, he's a hip hop head. All right, or she dresses this way, she's probably a hip hop head.
Right.
And somehow you start seeing how influential people can really be, right? Like, and if you stop and think, do they have really a mind on their head to stop and think for their true selves? Like, why do I think what I think?
Right.
I don't think most people could say, I know my beliefs and I know exactly why I operate this way.
Right.
Because we're taking too much of I guess the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
How many movies and how many things can we keep seeing over and over and over until you realize like everything isn't like how we think it is.
But that's where I tell you the government doesn't want us to. They want to keep us confused.
I think so. So for the same reason, why would I believe what I'm seeing?
Right. They want to keep
know?
us confused. They want to keep us from understanding what's going on. They want to keep us from
Understanding how the mechanism works.
Right.
Because, I think at the end of the day, they all kind of shake hands behind closed doors and they're doing businesses together.
Absolutely. They're all getting rich.
Yeah, and we're here thinking that is the right and the left, and it's the up and down, it's the whites and blacks. Dude, I think it's all business. So, I don't know. I think that part of the agenda is truly, right, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And what better than division in every single, you're a woman, he's a guy. Don't believe that.
Right, you're black, he's white.
Yeah.
Right, you're Jewish, he's Christian.
Yeah. And every facet of our life since I was born, that's only everything I've seen.
Yeah. You're not wrong, yeah.
Like, and I'm pretty sure since you were born, it was the same exact way.
Yeah.
And what is today's generation looking at? The same fucking way. Right? So, like, and somehow we're listening to these government people and thinking, like, they know the best for us.
Right.
Let me vote for this guy who's spewing the same shit as, like, the 50 other guys before him.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't have faith on what's it called? The government.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
it's weird, man. I remember like first time my kids asked like, "Oh, what is Black Lives Matter?" I keep reading that everywhere.
How old are your kids?
8 and 10.
8 and 10, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself like, prior to this, they didn't know nothing about racism.
Right.
Because I wasn't trying to teach them about any of that. Yeah. But here goes these agendas like, hey, if you all of a sudden now, and I'm sure shit happens everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But something that, let's say, I wasn't trying to teach them, now they're aware of like, oh, there's inequality because of color, because of this. Oh shit, there's such thing as black.
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't want to teach them that there's, their friend Jeremy is black, and now from that point on, it's like, oh yeah, like my friend Jeremy, he's black. Right. It's like,
yeah.
how about we're just humans?
Right. Yeah.
Right, and.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you are. You're right.
Because if you think of that, right? She's 17 years old. She's already, in a way, the system has taught her really well not to hurt other people's feelings.
Right. Right.
Be very thoughtful in whatever opinion
you have.
It's just for you. Right. Just keep it bottled in. Don't share it.
Don't share it. Right.
Because you may offend someone.
Right.
That's the other side of
that. That's right.
So what's her kids gonna look like, right? If she decides to have kids. Now, no one's there's gonna be a future where no one really has an opinion. It's just like, oh no, we can't say that.
Yeah, honestly, just reverts all the way back to. I mean, I do agree that it's just sometimes it's too crazy. Like you can't say shit. It's like, come on. Like the cancel culture is ridiculous.
It's fucking crazy.
It is.
I think of that in just like the dating world.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm just like, as a man, as a young boy, or like as a teenager, right? Like giving an advice to a teenager, I would be like, dude, almost like that whole thing of like how it used to be back in the past of like, oh, just go walk up to someone and engage. It's like. No, you can lose all your shit if you're not like careful.
That's right.
Imagine being in college, you talk to someone, and that person decides to like pull allegations and things like that. There goes your scholarship. There goes your college degree, right? Or over someone that just wants to make a name out of themselves. So how do you navigate that part with her? Do you try to teach her to speak her mind?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I haven't really had those conversations with her because I don't really.
Because as an adult now, how important is it for you running a business to be able to speak your mind?
Well,
because it's enabling.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to choose my words wisely, right? Because I call it the stomach test. If I say something, how do I feel about how confident am I that it's not going to get me or my company in trouble, right? That being said, I hate to sound Neanderthalic, but the company being in construction still is okay to say some things that you can't say in other businesses. Sometimes the women in those sound worse than the men. It's amazing. You sit there and I'm like, oh my God.
It's a tricky dance, man, because as I try to navigate raising my boys, I constantly am thinking like, what are the things that I have seen that have worked for me the best?
Right.
Honesty, being truthful,
yeah.
Right? And even if the truth hurts, you still need to hear it.
Well, yeah.
So in this generation where it's like, well, what you said hurt me. It's like, is it coming from like a hate kind of like, I'm trying to hurt you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like on purpose, or is this because you need to hear it? And when we are cultivating the next generation in the way of like, well, you know, only hear what makes you feel good, I don't think we're really preparing them for any sort of future.
Right. No,
Like,
you
what
gotta,
kind of
you
skills
gotta,
are they going to have?
right. You gotta be honest. You gotta. People don't always like to hear the truth, and that doesn't mean you can't tell them the truth. There's ways of telling people things that, you know, it's how you can say it in such a way. You know, I had to learn. There's a difference between being honest and being, you know,
Brute.
brutal honesty. Brutal
But all
honesty.
right, let's go there for a second.
Yeah.
Because let's say, right, this is something that I've been learning to communicate to different type of people, right, and understanding that we all perceive honesty in different levels.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm the type that if you're a friend to me, I expect brutal honesty.
Sure.
I digest brutal honesty very well.
So do I.
Where if you're like, well, Andre, I think you're kind of messing up. Please, like, pick up your stuff. Da da da. Like, I don't take that because I'm like, get to the fucking point.
I'm the same.
What are you trying to say?
What do you want?
Yeah. Where if the people that are more regimented and firmer with me,
Yeah.
I tend to like take that advice with more respect.
Yeah. See, like, I'm talking, like, my wife doesn't take brutal honesty well. And when it comes to stuff like, hey, I just got a new haircut. How do you like my haircut? Oh, I fucking hate it. It's not what I'm used to. Like, there's a nicer way for me to say that. You know what I mean? Like, I could be nicer.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Is there though? Sure. But the question is, right? Or this is the argument I tend to have. The inner battle. Okay, am I changing authentically who I am to cater to your softness?
Sure. So that's funny you say that because one of her friends, Rebecca, always says to Lauren, "I wish my husband was like your husband because sometimes I just want him to be fucking honest with me about things like that." And because she told her, she's like, "Oh, do you want to know what Paul said about my hair? Like, what do you want me to say?" It's like you got it. It looks good now. I'm used to it now, but it's like you changed fucking 3 things about it. Like you couldn't have done a gradual change over like 2 months. Like it was shocking to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't get mad when you tell me you don't like some things on me. Like I'm gonna come in and she's gonna be like,
Exactly.
like the tattoo. I'm gonna be like, great, move on.
Because I'm sure there's no filter to also express that.
Sure.
Like, is he gonna feel bad about how I'm gonna? She probably doesn't fucking think of that.
No.
Yeah. That's kind of the point. Is that like on certain ends it's acceptable, but on other parts it's like I want you to be more easy with the way you say things.
Yeah.
But you know, like my girlfriend's pretty used to me being brutally honest.
Yeah.
But I've also kind of struggled with the idea of if I have to cater to you, I'm also not being authentic because I have to go through 10 filters. How do I want to say this and not hurt you?
Right.
So then my question is this?
That's not me.
And yeah, is this
Right.
an honest fucking thing I would say?
Right.
Or am I just like sugarcoating this?
Right.
And that's kind of like my issue with it. I'm like, dude, just fucking say what it is, and that's it. At least you got it out. It's an interesting predicament because, oh man, I see a lot of clients going through divorce right now, and they're kind of like going through their like mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
And the more I talk to other people, like when I talk to them, how many people are getting divorced within their circles? They also have a lot of people within their circles that are getting divorced.
Yeah.
So it's this. So I wonder if there's the idea that there's always something better across the pond. Right?
That's people always think that. And like, but I also sometimes wonder. I mean, is monogamy really meant for people? I mean, you know, I don't know. But then I sit there and go, "Fuck, I'm too tired to even think about." You know, like I would never wanna. Like, I couldn't deal with another woman in my life. Couldn't even imagine.
You're like, one's enough.
One's enough. Fuck that. That would be fucking crazy.